Good morning or good afternoon, everybody. Hey, good, I'm live. Good morning to all of you. Welcome to those of you who are watching on the replay or the recording. I'm welcoming you. Actually, Nova and I are welcoming you live from Sacramento, California. Isn't it beautiful here? We are staying with some friends here and getting ready for a wedding tomorrow. So we're all in wedding mode and getting ready to celebrate. So welcome to all of you. Today we're going to talk about the big 6 emotions and how they can help us. Now, I'm curious, how many of you have seen the Inside Out movie? Have you guys seen the Disney Pixar Inside Out movie that came out a few years back? Yes? Just put a 1 in the comments if you've seen that movie. Because we're going to talk about the big 6 today and actually how they are available actually to help us. So if you're new to our Facebook page or to our YouTube channel, my name is Amy Miller. I have been on a spiritual journey since I was about 10 years old. And I have recently discovered some really powerful tools, actually some of the most powerful tools that I've ever come across in my life for connecting with God on a deeply spiritual level and really receiving true transformation in Jesus. And so as I learn about them, I'm sharing them with you. And did you know it's possible to have a head full of facts and not know the truth? Anybody ever known someone like that? Like known somebody who just is full of all these facts and they really don't know the truth. So all this month, we have focused on true change that comes from the inside out. Now, you guys know here at 3 Life Essentials, we are focused on this wellness pyramid here. This is something that we utilize in all of our classes. We actually, when we were in our brick house, we had this posted on our refrigerator. It's something that it helps us just kind of look at the bigger picture of our wellness. And so all this month, we've been focusing on true change, what it means to truly be well. And that comes from the inside out. And unless we experience freedom in our spiritual life, that foundation, that brick foundation, and build our lives, build our house, so to speak, on that, then addressing all these other areas, our eating habits, our exercise, how we rest, the toxins that we're bringing in, the medical professionals we're seeking out, all of those are just going to act as a Band-Aid. And Jesus is the one who brings true and lasting change. And so this whole month, we've focused on breathing life into our spirit, where the foundation of our wellness lies, how to experience true lasting change. And if you want to see some of those, we're sharing those over on our blog, our 3 Life Essentials blog. You can go to 3lifeessentials.com and see those there, or you can go over to our YouTube channel and you can see where we're sharing this stuff here. But then we also talked about a new way to experience Emmanuel, God with us, through interactive journaling. And last week, delving into attachment styles and how we can experience true connection with others. And now we are going to name the big 6 emotions and what they can do for us. So I asked this last week, but did you know that joy is directly related to the quality of your relationships, your intimacy? Yes. And so, and we cannot experience true transformation without delving into some of these topics. And so today we're going to be free from the unknown. We're going to be free from judgment, free to understand our bodies, and free to have joy, and free to love our brain, free to be secure. So who wants some of those freedoms today? I know I do. How many of you know someone in your life that's like that? What we talked about, mentioned earlier, a head full of facts, but does not know the truth. Just put in the comments. And actually, I can't see your comments, so let me pull it up here. Hey, good morning to you, Bethany, Denise. Good to see you guys here. So let's talk about these big 6 emotions and how they can actually help us. So the right hemisphere of our brains were wired to experience each of these big 6 emotions. And those of you who know my background, I've been a speech language pathologist. I don't currently practice, but we spent a lot of time delving into understanding and knowing the brain. And so, but I will tell you, these are things that I'm just now learning. And so I invite you to come join me. So, okay, what are these big 6 emotions? Can you name some of the ones? What are some big emotions that you experience in life? Just put them in the comments as you think through them. We're going to talk about the big 6. Now, there's other emotions that we experience, but these are the most common, the most frequently experienced, that as a general rule, psychologists, brain scientists, speech language pathologists, anybody who deals with the brain is now recognizing. And so the first one we're going to talk about is sadness. So that's when you're feeling like, I've lost some of my life. Okay. Anybody experienced sadness this week? I know I did. Okay, so what's some of the other big 6? Just put them in the comments. The second one we're going to talk about is anger. And that is typically when we're saying, I need to protect myself and I need to try to make something stop, right? When you're experiencing anger. Anybody experience anger this week? I don't think I've experienced that one this week, but that's just this week. Okay. Okay, what about number 3, fear? That's when we're saying, our brain is saying, I want to get away. That's what that right hemisphere is saying, our feeling brain. Okay. Okay, what's number 4? Number 4 is disgust. Okay. And this is when your right brain is saying, whatever this is that I'm experiencing, this is not life-giving, right? That's what disgust is. Everybody thinking through the Inside Out movie? Like I am. Okay, so number 5 is shame. And that's when our right brain is saying, I'm not bringing you joy and you're not glad to be with me. Anybody experience that this week? And then number 6 is hopeless despair. And this is a little bit like sadness, but it's further, even more deep, when your right brain is saying, I lack the resources that I need for this situation, whatever it is. Anybody experiencing that this week? Yeah, so those are the big 6 emotions. Now, did you know, so we've been wired for these, right? So God can actually use these for his purposes. So let's dive into that for just a minute. Anybody thought about that? Anybody thought about how, I want to hear your thoughts on what you think about. Have you ever thought about those being used for his purposes? Okay, so sadness. Why? So we can develop compassion for other people. Think about, and what's interesting is that Jesus experienced all of these emotions as well. Think about that shortest verse in the Bible. Jesus wept. He was sad. And so this helps us to be able to develop compassion for other people, because imagine if we never felt sadness, it would be much harder for us to be able to relate. And especially somebody like me who doesn't have high amount, empathy is not a big strength of mine. How do you develop compassion for other people? Okay, so let's talk about anger. How can that be used to help us? Now, anger can be dangerous, but it has the power to move you into action or intervene on something. Think about situations where there has been where you've been moved to anger to actually move and take action and intervene on something that needed to happen. And God has actually created for us for that. Okay, fear. Fear can actually save your life or another person's. So we have been wired to be able to have fear. Now, not the amount of fear that we experience or that we stay stuck in, right? So we're going to be talking about that those next week. Disgust. Disgust can move us to disciple those who are immature. And think about that with, for instance, like maybe your children as an easy example, teaching my boys not to be so disgusting themselves, because that's disgusting, right? Disgust can move us to help those who are immature and disciple them towards maturity. Shame. Now, a healthy shame can help actually with teaching someone that that's not how we act. Now, a healthy shame message to other people who are followers of Jesus that's bathed in love and compassion, that this is not appropriate, can move someone else also again towards more maturity. And then what about hopeless despair? How can that be used for his purposes? Anybody have thoughts? It brings us to complete dependence on God. And he tells us in his word that joy comes in the morning. And so it forces us, well, it doesn't force us, because we always have that decision that we can make to turn away from God, but it forces us to depend on him. So anybody experience one of the big six this week, today, maybe even? So here's the thing though, we're called to regulate these emotions by the power of the Holy Spirit. And that's God's spirit that lives within every person who has given their lives to Jesus. And if that's something that you've never done before, I want you to reach out to me, because this goes back to starting with that true change, and stop band-aiding all this stuff and start with your foundation, your wellness. But let's not deny the existence of these emotions. Let's call it out. So in case you're not watching this live, don't worry, but I'm going to go back and answer any questions that you have or thoughts that you share. But I want you guys to join in with us. So mature people can return to normal flow in 90 seconds. So it can return from a state of fear to normal flow in 90 seconds. They have regulated the sadness or the fear, and they've seen the emotion as an opportunity to grow. And so I invite you this week that as you experience one of these big six emotions or multiple of them, stop and call it by name. I'm feeling anger right now. And we're going to talk next week about what to do when you find yourself stuck in those emotions and how you can return to a state of joy. So join me next week, and I look forward to seeing you guys. Bye, everybody.